You don't have to.
Oh,
Hi
okay.
everyone. We are in the next chapter, which is OWASP Jakarta. So today we have Veena and Azhar with us, and Veena is going to Veena is representing Jakarta chapter. So Veena, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Vandana. I will share my screen. Yeah. Hello, good afternoon from Jakarta area. This is OWASP chapter all day and hosted by Jakarta chapter. I represent Mr. Adeyo Saman as our chapter lead, and in this talk, I want to introduce ourselves, who we are. We are a non-profit organization. As a pioneer project for web security, our project include OWASP security in 2017, OWASP risk assessment framework in 2019, and OWASP PIGOT 2020. And our mission is to improve the secure of software application. We conduct training meetup for cybersecurity enthusiasts. Also, we have past event. Our past event in 2019, sorry, in 2016 in OWASP Day Kuala Lumpur, and in 2017 Code Bali International Cybersecurity Conference and Exhibition, and OWASP Indonesia Day. In 2018, we have OWASP Taiwan Summit, Open Security Summit, OWASP Sendai Chapter Meeting, Black Hat Asia Singapore. And in 2019, we we participate as mentor for Google Summer of Code. You can see our past event here in this link. Okay.
Yeah, let's introduce Azhar.
Yeah. So now here with me, Mr. Azhar Ahmed. He will talk about risk assessment framework. Okay. Send to you, Azhar.
Okay, thank you, Vina, and thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone. I'm Arthur, and I'm working on the OWASP risk assessment framework. Today, I'll be giving an overview about this project and what we are doing. So I hope you can all see the screen.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, so I'll continue. So before we go in, few things about me. I'm an undergraduate student currently in my final year, following computer science degree at University of Westminster. So I got the exposure and engaging towards the OWASP uh, through the GSOX 2019. So that's it about me. Let's move on. So what is risk assessment framework in general? So a risk assessment framework is an approach for prioritizing and sharing information about the security risk posed to an organization. So the information should be presented in a way that both non-technical and technical personnel in the group should be able to understand, should be in layman's terms. And it should be able to identify and locate low risk and high risk areas in the system that may be subjected to abuse or attack. So what we do in OS risk assessment framework project is our focus is on this project is to simplify testing and let the users easily test with minimal setup. We have all experienced the complexity and how inefficient most of the testing tools are, right? And how hard it is to set up the environment. It is really a hectic task. So to solve those issues, we are making the framework more reliable and efficient and easy to use platform. So with just testing, there won't be any use for it. So we are providing a very user-friendly dashboard to stage their analysis and generate report. So everyone in the group can be able to understand. So also we are developing a SaaS tool. We are also working with other SaaS tools such as SonarCube to integrate into our framework. And we are also in the process of developing our own SaaS tool. So far, we have completed our first version of the dashboard where our users will be able to upload their code and generate reports. and give a small analysis on the vulnerabilities and also some information regarding the best practices. And we have integrated the Sona Cube into that, so the users will be able to have a big scope on the vulnerability coverage and language. So we have started development of our standalone scanner with detectors focusing on the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities for Java language. And I can say it's going pretty well. So here's a small demo on how the framework works. So you just have to log in there. Your project analysis will be saved on, and there are tools and the history of your analysis, and also which which has small profile section and resources that you might need to see. And let's go into the tool. You just have to click on or drag and drop your code into that and click on the upload file. So clicking after that, you just have to scan the project, which will this is a small capture of the backend how it analyzes. And after the scanning is completed, you just have to view the results, which will generate a small report on the vulnerabilities and the risk posed in the system, and also what are the top 10 vulnerabilities and where we can find them, and what are how we can rectify those kind of errors. So let's move on. What is static application security testing, Mass? So SaaS tools can be thought of as a white hat or white box testing, where the testers knows the information about the system or software being tested, including an architecture and access to the source code. So examine the source code to detect and report weaknesses that can lead to security vulnerabilities. So source code analysis can run on non-compiled code as well to check for defects such as numerical input validation, race condition, pointers, and so on. So how are we building a SaaS tool? So how do we build a SaaS tool? So building a SaaS tool is a very vast topic, and I don't think we can cover it up in just few minutes. So just with these few slides, I'll try to give a small overview on the basics of the building of the SaaS tool. So before we start building the SaaS tool, we need to understand the technology behind the static analysis. So analyzing a program means to gather information regarding a specific program, which can be performed dynamically. By dynamically, I mean executing the program and gathering data. For example, when you test a program, you are performing a dynamic program analysis, where you check if there are any memory leaks or whether the program faced with a null point exception, etc. So analyzing a program can be done statically as well, without even actually executing the program and gathering information. So per se, when you review your code, you don't actually execute the program, right? You just analyze the program in your mind and find bugs in the program, such as this, like such as this line you might see. So there are many techniques and technologies which are involved when building a SaaS tool. So let's go through the process first, then let's go through the few techniques. So this is an image from Mr. Kevin Feasley's presentation, which describes well about the process. So firstly, you input your code, then there will be a model extraction where the source code is passed by a parser of the language and tokenizes, and which let us analyze line by line or block by block. After that, there comes an intermediate representation, which groups the code so we can find the flow of the data, the syntax trees, and control flow graph and other models based on those code. So then the analysis engine comes into play, where it analyzes those extracted models depending on the rules we predefine, and then using those analyses we produce the results, maybe add recommendation or how to rectify them. So now let us look at some techniques used when building static analysis, which will help us build our SaaS. So let's go through the pattern matching technique. So pattern matching is simply looking for vulnerable code using a pattern matcher like VGS. So let's take an example code here in the code block. You can see you can see there's a comparison operator, right? So comparison operator is misplaced with a assignment operator. So it's a common mistake developers make. So we can apply this technique on other bug patterns to find security vulnerabilities. So next is data flow analysis. Data flow analysis is normally performed by traversing through the flow of the program on basics of code. So this methodology is used on finding null point exception. By using this, we can track down the variables where it is initialized and where it is dereferred. And this can be limited only within a function or the whole program itself. So next is let's look at abstract interpretation. Before I explain about the abstract interpretation, I want you all to take a look at this small example. We all know there is an issue with this code block, right? Just by looking at the code, we can say it's going to produce an error. Because if we multiply -1 by 4, -4 by 4, which is equal to -16, and if we find the square root of it, probably it is going to throw an error because square root of -16 is an imaginary number, right? So how did we know without even doing a concrete calculation? Because we know that if we try to find a square root of a negative number, it is going to produce an imaginary number. So just with the abstraction of that, we came up with the conclusion. So those kind of issues can be identified using abstract interpretation like this. So yeah, we are planning to use these techniques while building our standalone scanner, which will be in the future. We are planning to add them to the risk assessment framework and also in continuous integration tools, and planning to develop plugins for pipelines such as GitHub, Jenkins, and also plugins for IDEs like IntelliJ or Eclipse. So if you are interested, please feel free to contact me or email me or any other person involved in this project or the leads. You can also join the Telegram group if you need more information regarding this. So that's the end of the presentation. So I'll be taking any questions, and also you can use the comment section or the chat so I can come back and answer. Thank you, and I'll hand it over to me.
Thank you so much, Azhar. It was a great presentation. So, can you just give us more information about how can I integrate this tool seamlessly in my? Is there any automation available which I can use in my environment, or how best I can leverage from it?
So for now, you can actually use the risk assessment framework, which is already there. So you just have to get that and just upload the code and click on scan project. That's it. So after, like, we are planning on building the plugin and plugins to the pipeline and so on. So in the future, you'd be able to use it. It's currently under development process.
Great. So I've checked the chat box. There is no question at the moment, but then you can look back on the chat and see if there are any questions later on. Yeah, it was a good presentation, short and crisp.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much to both
Yeah.
of you.
How
Yeah.
about integrating via Jenkins or Docker or GitHub? Could you explain more detail?
So we are currently making a plugin. Uh, so currently the IDE plugins are already under development. So Maven plugins and Gradle plugins. So those we'll be integrating our scanner, so source code scanner, into those plugins. So those plugins can be added then into the GitHub and Jenkins pipelines. So while in the process of development, users can be able to scan their project, scan their code, and get the idea of the vulnerabilities.
Great.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, then thank you.
Absolutely. If you don't have more questions, then we are good to end the stream. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. Next, we have Kerala. So please stay tuned. We'll be back live in 5 minutes.
Thank you for presentation, Azar.